G'day guys, it's Cruiserman Kai here with another Olight Javelot review. Today we're going to be looking at the new Javelot Turbo 2. It's quite a sleek, nice looking torch. The kind of slightly different design, but more or less the same proportions and quite similar functionality as the existing or some of their older range. For a bit of context for any new viewers, I work in conservation and vertebrate pest management in Australia, so I'm pretty heavy on my equipment. It gets used a lot. I need something that's reliable and is going to stand up to the test of time and vibrations in the back of a ute, or I do put them in a case most of the time, but back seats or falling out of the vehicle. A bit of a follow-up on a couple of these torches. One of these I actually dropped and ran over. I think it was this one here. Yep, had a good bit of gravel rash. But it bloody works perfect still. So I guess I'll do a bit of a review. We have some of the older models, the Javelot Pro, the Javelot Pro 2, which you probably can't buy anymore, new at least, and then the Javelot Turbo, which I think is still on the website, and then this new torch, which is Javelot Turbo 2. Couple of differences straight away. This is USB-C chargeable, which is fantastic, and it also comes with a little wristband with a wireless trigger that turns the torch on and off. Now look, the band, honest feedback, I don't do anything but honest feedback. The band is pretty cumbersome to get on. It's got a strange little locking mechanism. I tried about 3 times and I basically just sat this on my lap while driving around. I should caveat, most of the way I work is driving around, spotlighting, or we use a thermal monocular for finding things, and I'll always use a torch to light it up before taking a shot. It helps with a confirmation of identifying what it is. If you watched any of my other reviews, I have a bit of a mix. Some of them are for the Seekers, some of them for the Warrior 3s. Get a bit of an everyday carry. This is fantastic if you want a bit of a floodlight, finding something in long grass. But what we're here for today is the Javelots. Now I might just start with a few of the features. So like I said before, it's USB-C chargeable. It's got a little USB-C cap here that opens up pretty nicely. I'm a bit of an amateur here, guys, trying to do everything one-handed. We got a little USB-C charger. Now it doesn't look like it's a waterproof cover here. There's no rubber grommets, so I think it's going to be more like the new chargers on an iPhone or Android or Google. It's just a waterproof plug. Now, in terms of the beam pattern, we've got a really nice steel night today, so they still have the old tail activation, and it's a really blue light. Now we'll talk about that in a little bit. But look, that dam, start of that little dam crossing there is probably about 120 odd meters or so. And as we get up to the other side of this hill here, I'll just try and get the camera to focus here. Look, I'm getting an easy 400 or 500 meters of light and that beam pattern is really nice and consistent. Just for a bit of funsies though, I did notice, if I look on let's see if I can get the camera to focus here again. The beam pattern is actually an O, which, doesn't make any difference when you're putting a light out a couple of 100 meters in a paddock or up a tree if you're trying to spot some wildlife, but I thought that was kind of entertaining for whoever designed the torch anyway. But look, a really good hotspot. Now, when you're shooting, you really want a good hotspot, and then you want that outer ring, that sort of hotspot in the center and then a bit of a moon shape around it. Helps with a bit of peripheral. If you're shooting a fox, normally you want to put your light on the fox and then you want to pull it just off it a little bit right before you're ready to take your shot. So this is a good torch, I think, for that purpose. It is very bright, and I do have a couple of trees a bit closer to me here. And honestly, if you're trying to spotlight something, scientists doing fauna surveys, something like that, this is probably getting a bit too bright for things that are, you know, 50, 60 meters away. I think this is really focused for that long range throw. One of those smaller torches is probably better. Now you can dim these down, and so if you want a bit of a multifunctional torch, this would definitely be able to do that role. So we go through, that's the lowest spot there. So I'll take my, I'm filming this also with an Olight head torch. That's hilarious, isn't it? I'll turn that one off for a sec. There we go. We have a bit of a closer beam pattern. That beam pattern center there is at about 50 meters or so. Let's call that 50 meters. That's the lowest setting. That's setting number 2. Holding at that same spot, we got setting number 3. And then we go to full power, setting number 4. And that is very bright. And as you can see, that little hot spot is kind of, you know, the camera's making it blur out. With the naked eye, it is very clear. But yeah, for spotlighting smaller animals, you're not going to get any eye reflection back from that because it's just putting too much light down. Now, as I walk around this paddock here, look, I've already scared off anything that was in here, but I get a really good beam pattern. Get that nice ring. And you can see the power of that light, and it's nice and central. You know, it's just like a laser pointer, but it's just an LED torch. And yeah, that might be a good way to show it there. You get that nice little bit of peripheral vision around it. So we'll go back to a bit of headlight as well. Now I haven't actually used any of these magnetic rifle torches. I have an unloaded Tika here. It's sort of a bit of a workhorse, but it just clips on, nice and simple. And I've just tested this for the last couple of nights. You know, putting out the window, driving along some bumpy tracks. Those magnets they're pretty solid. I can actually counter lift and lift the rifle up from the torch there. And this is a varmint rifle. It's pretty heavy, so I've got some pretty good confidence that this is not going to fall off. And yeah, just that feature that comes with it is quite good. Olight used to sell, and I actually don't believe this system is on their website anymore, which is a bit disappointing just because it's proven to be very reliable. They have a little Piccaninny bracket that used to go into a scope, and on the other side here there is an over center latch. Sorry, it's a bit hard to light up there. It should be a bit clearer there. And this is a fantastic system. It really similar, but this really locks in. So hopefully, if they look at these videos that I do and take any of my feedback back, they'll bring that system back as well. But for somebody that wants something a bit more portable, this is probably a better option because it's really simple to take this out. It's just a little thumb screw. I definitely needed 2 hands to put it together. But just having that torch out, yeah, look, it's pretty good, pretty sleek. Now I guess I'll do a little video comparison of this with the Turbo versus the Turbo 2, because they're the 2 options that people are likely to have online now. Again, we'll go back to darkness, turn the light off, and we've got the Turbo 2. And you can see, hopefully you can see that beam pattern. Hopefully you can see that beam pattern is a bit blurry. A bit blurry is probably the best way. The hot spot is not very hot, whereas on the right hand side the hot spot is very hot. The colors are pretty similar. And these blue lights, they're good. More like a HID. Sometimes the old some of the old spotlighting, big, you know, not halogen, but the HID torches that you used to put on a roof mount of an old cruiser on a farm that have this really blue light as well. Now, they're fantastic, but they do capture a lot of light. So I think in some of my past reviews, I've said that the blue light, when you get a foggy night, foggy mornings, they capture, you get a lot of light reflection, and it makes it a bit harder. But look, full power on both sides. The Javelot 2 is on my left, and the Javelot 2 Pro is on my right, the new one. So it is a much better hotspot. The actual lens and reflector is improved. To talk about my point, I'll actually go back to this old one here, the Javelot Turbo, and this had a much larger charging head, and the color of this torch was very different. And so, as you'll probably see in the light here, it looks more yellow. But this also shows the development and the improvement of the product with Olight. So even though the color's a little bit different, that hotspot, for my purposes, predominantly for my purposes, that hotspot is far superior. And if we move up to a target a long way away, you can see how the left torch, the original torch from probably 3 years ago, it's all washed out. And the torch on the right, it just maintains that really tight hotspot, but it still has that bit of flood at distance. So I'm sure this new torch will become my primary torch. And this last one I've just tested, I think is quite likely to become a backup torch, or potentially with the wildlife spotlighting stuff that I do as well. This is probably going to go back into its original case. Got my red and green filters, and that'll probably become a bit of a wildlife spotlighting torch. And these three will become my primary pest control torches. Just because this one comes with the mount. Look, you can hear that how well that worked. Clipped, stuck onto the tray there. Just interestingly, has a little 3 spots here, and this little magnetic switch just clips on, and that's what activates the switch, so that when you take it off, it connects it, and so then when you take it off, it turns the torch on and off, as I can demonstrate there, one-handed. For anybody that hasn't got a hunting kit from Olight, like a Javelot hunting kit, if this is your first torch, you're thinking about one, you've been thinking about one for a while, I'd always recommend, especially during a sale, that you get the full hunting kit. It's going to come with, oh goodness, look how tight that is. Alright, look, there's maybe a negative. Magnets, they're going to pick up schmutz. It's going to scratch your barrel there. Yeah, so that just clips onto there. So this is what you get, with a band and a charging cable, but no charger. So look, it's just a USB to a USB-C, so I'm sure everyone's got 10 of these at home these days. The filter is probably the key point here, that a red filter and a green filter is a great addition for people that are just starting out, and also people that are looking at doing more wildlife things, or if you're shooting smaller vermin like rabbits and hares, because the green and the red is less intrusive, and you'll get better results. Look, I have done lots of Javelot torches before, so I probably won't carry on too much about it. I guess I can throw a filter on, demonstrate how that looks. It's a bit trickier, new filters to put on one-handed. I'll turn the head torch off, and so we've started off with the green, and that green filter, even with a lot of range there, back across the dam, back up that hill there, it does get a bit washed out. You definitely lose a lot of distance, but every time you put these filters on, it severely reduces how much distance you're going to get. So the brighter the torch, the better, really, because you can still use get a usable distance. Starting to waffle on a little bit here. I'll flick to red. I use green a little bit for hairs, but mostly I use flick back to the red filter here. Got that one on a bit nicer that time. Head torch back off, and we'll go to red. And look, yeah, look, that's pretty good. That's pretty good actually. I like that. That's maintaining a good hot spot. You lose a lot of that peripheral, so you got like a bit of a funny moon going on around that head spot. It's not so smooth. It might be the lens bouncing off the glass and sort of being refracted a bit within the lens cover there, but it still has well over 100 meters, 150 meters there, I think, of usable light if you have a good glass scope. And for something like rabbits, with a smaller caliber rifle, this is nice, and it's great for up to 100 meters. It's probably about 100 meters there, and that's a good amount of light. I can show this. Carefully hold my phone here. So hold that back to that same. That's all that 50 meter, 50, 60 meter mark, and I'll be able to take this cover off. And it just shows you how much light is restricted by the filters. And as a quick comparison, back over to the hillside over there, base of those big trees, good 300-400 meters, I reckon. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. If you made it all the way through, there's always going to be a bit of a discount available. I think it's Cruiser Man at the checkout. But look, if you have any comments, questions, improvements, I did buy a gimbal, and now I've broken it. I don't do the video stuff enough, but honest reviews on a torch. Any questions, let us know. Cheers, guys, and I'll catch you on the next video. It's probably going to be on the Cruiser, not a torch, but who knows.